The Cabinet approves proposal to liquidate Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Private Limited. Family and friends of Wasim Tajuddin engage in a silent protest demanding justice. Employees oppose the privatization of the Hambantota port. State officers in Ampara called for Minister Daya Gamage to issue an apology to the Divisional Secretary he allegedly threatened. A very good evening to you. You're watching Prime Time News on News First. I'm Saturanga Hapuarati.
And I'm Bernadine Jai Singh. Very good evening to you. Now let's take a look at your top story in detail. The Cabinet of Ministers have approved the liquidation of Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited. The firm functioned as a security service affiliated with the Ministry of Defence.
Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited was established in 2006, where it recruited retired Tri-Forces personnel for its services. The firm initially provided services in ground security and later expanded its services into maritime security. While the Secretary to the Ministry of Defence functioned as the chairman of the firm, the position was later granted to an outside party due to legal barriers. With its move into maritime security services, several issues were brought to light with regard to Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited. Following the conclusion of the previously held presidential election, an armoury of Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited at the BMICH was raided and sealed, after which a broad investigation was launched. The firm was mainly charged of irregularities which were said to have taken place during its maritime security services together with Avantgarde Security Services Private Limited. Following an agreement between the two firms based on the instruction of the Ministry of Defence, Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited and Avantgarde Security Services Private Limited specialised on providing security for international commercial and multi-day vessels. This caused several other firms who also provide similar services to lose out on opportunities.
When
they work at other external firms, they have earned a salary between $1,800 and $4,000. These firms still provide these salaries. However, our institutions only paid between $950 and $1,000 for maritime security services. These two institutions began a process of stealing the hard-earned money of the soldiers.
Meanwhile, as per the agreement reached between Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited and Avantgarde Security Services Private Limited, the profits should be equally divided between the two firms, while a sum of $100 should be diverted to the Sri Lanka Navy for each sea journey. However, the terms and conditions of the agreement had gradually relaxed as profits payable to Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited had halted.
Until 2014, Avantgarde has inked 6 agreements with Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited. The first report of CORP clearly indicates that these agreements are not legitimate. In this backdrop, the government, which claims to have good governance, enters into another agreement in October 2015. According to that, a sum of 1,255 rupees owed by Avantgarde to Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited has been waived off.
It is in this backdrop that the President, in his capacity as the Minister of Defence, had proposed to the Cabinet that Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited be liquidated. Thereby, the tasks of providing security on land will be assigned to the Civil Security Department, while the Sri Lanka Navy will be vested with maritime security.
Minister, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption are conducting an investigation on this firm. Is this move being taken after concluding the investigation activities?
No, it says at the bottom of this document that this will be directed to the Attorney General and the future course of action will be taken as per his instructions.
It was the retired members of the army who were recruited and given positions at Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited. So what happens to them when this is assigned to the Civil Security Department and Sri Lankan Navy?
Well, that is secondary. We must figure out if this firm exists or not. If there is an agreement between the two firms, I suppose a compensation could be paid. As far as I know, there aren't any permanent employees at this firm. Every employee has been recruited on contract basis, so the services of such an employee could be terminated at any given time.
While Rakna Rakshaka Lanka Limited is being liquidated, what happens to the money they are owed by Avantgarde?
The Attorney General has been informed to take the required legal action.
What is the legal action that is being taken against Avantgarde?
Legal action is being taken in court. The World Bank Board has approved a $75 million credit from the International Development Association, or the IDA, to strengthen Sri Lanka's social safety net program.
This project will contribute to improving the equity, efficiency and transparency of the social safety net. The Social Safety Nets project, to be implemented by the Ministry of Finance, will assist the government to develop a single registry of citizens containing information on family structure and economic characteristics. The Welfare Benefits Board, set up to manage the selection and payment of welfare beneficiaries, will develop and apply new selection criteria based on data in the registry. The project will also strengthen the government's capacity to monitor and improve welfare programs. The project will be implemented in partnership with the Ministry of National Policies and Economic Affairs, the Ministry of Social Empowerment and Welfare, and the Information and Communication Technology Agency. As part of the project, data in the registry will be updated periodically and records will be reviewed to ensure that only eligible beneficiaries remain in the programs. To prevent fraudulent applications, each individual will be identified in the registry using biometric technology.
The demonstration launched by the employees of the Magam Ruhunupura port in Hambantota has been extended till 12 noon tomorrow.
The protesters claim that there is a possibility of the Magam Ruhunupura port in Hambantota being handed over to a Chinese company. More than 400 employees are employed at the Magam Ruhunupura port since 2013.
They held interviews at the Port Authority, then provided us with a training of 1.5 years. Then former chairman Priyat Bandhu took an arbitrary decision to form a private company and placed 350 of us for its employment. Ensure that he provided a response on whether we would be recruited as members of the Port Authority within 2 hours.
The written request was made to the Presidential Secretariat, the Prime Minister's office and the subject ministry, anticipating a response by 3 p.m. They recommenced the protest, blocking all roadways and entrances to the port as they did not receive the anticipated response. General Manager of the port, Sath Pereira, said that the protesters who commenced their trade union action during their lunch hour did not report for work afterwards. He further said that the operations at the ports have been hampered as a result of the protest.
According to sources, the Board of Directors has convened an emergency meeting to discuss the problems surrounding the employees of the Magampura port in Hambantota.
The Board of Directors have decided to follow the procedure that was adhered to by the Cabinet in 2006 when handing over the land that belongs to the port to a project that is owned by a foreign company or is funded by foreign aid. According to the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the Sri Lanka Port and Maritime Services are ranked second when it comes to the wealth of the country. The provisions state that only the President can make a decision with regard to transferring of land that belongs to the port. A deal can only be carried out in this regard if the President, as per the provisions of the Constitution, transfers the matter to receive the advice of the Cabinet of Ministers. The Board of Directors of the Sri Lanka Port Authority unanimously decided that the Chairman of the Sri Lanka Port Authority has no right to sign a Memorandum of Understanding with the China Merchant Port Holdings Company Limited. According to sources, the Board of Directors request the Subject Minister and the Secretary of the Ministry to look into this matter as an urgent national requirement.
We have heard of super overs in cricket. But have you heard of a super ministry? Like you, the joint opposition too had questions about this.
The Development Special Provisions Bill has been drafted after it received the approval from the Cabinet of Ministers. The bill, which has been compiled on the instructions of the Prime Minister, had made special provisions for economic development activities, creation and facilitation of relevant national policies, and a number of other related matters. The establishment of development agencies and several other new institutions and the commencement of new institutions at the provincial level have also been included in the bill. A statement which reads, "No action or prosecution shall be instituted against the agency, board or other institution for any act which is done in good faith," has also been included in the said bill. Opposition and civil society activists charge that this bill is similar to the steps and actions taken by the leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe, when there was continued criticism raised against him in the past. When there were such issues pertaining to the leadership of the party, a committee comprising close associates was appointed. Then steps were taken by him to amend the party constitution to further hold on to power. You have gazetted a bill to appoint a new super minister. Now the Special Provisions Bill has been gazetted. According to it, the powers vested in the President can be taken over by a minister. Land belonging to any state institution can be handed over to another party with just one signature of the minister. A citizen of this country does not have the right to go to court or to seek legal action with any order of that ministry or the minister. That too has been taken out of that act. Why is such a superpower created? They are doing this to provide the lands of the country to the foreign investors according to their whims and fancies. The power that will be established through that ministry will be void after 3 years.
අවුරුදු 3කින් ඒ පනතෙන් පිහිටුවන බලය අවුරුදු 3න් වාෂ්ප වෙලා යනවා. සුපිරි බලයක් ගැන කතා කරනවා. මම හිතන්නේ සුපිරි බලයක් ඊටාම ඕනකමින් මම කියන්න කැමතියි.
I would like to state very clearly, Minister Malik Samaravikrama, if you sign the EDCA agreement, you will go down in the history as a leader who betrayed the country. We are caretakers. We cannot make a path for the country to be destroyed in the long run. We do not have a right. The country will curse us.
යුතුයකමක් නැහැ. මොකක් වුණත් මේ රට සාප කරයි.
The revision application filed by former Colombo Chief J.M.O. Professor Anand Samarakon with regard to the Wasim Tajuddin homicide will be taken up on the 10th of January for consideration. This order was issued today by Colombo High Court Judge Padmini N. Ranawaka.
Professor Anand Samarakon filed an anticipatory bail application at the Colombo High Court, citing that the Criminal Investigations Department is prepared to arrest him over the incident where several body parts of Wasim Tajuddin, removed during the post-mortem, had allegedly gone missing. This application was rejected by court following objections that were raised by the Attorney General, and thereby Professor Samarasekara has submitted a revision application. This morning, family and friends of the late Tajuddin staged a protest opposite the Colombo High Court, urging that the law be enforced and suspects be arrested.
Investigations have been going on for some time, and we understand that there is some kind of a suppression at this point of time, and this sincere support from his friends are very well appreciated. And I hope this will expedite the investigation process and take us through this journey to see justice to Wasim. We make a sincere request from the government and from all the well-wishers and from all who are involved in this, that we will, that they will support this cause, and that we will see that they will help us to see justice soon.
17th of May 2012. Wasim Tajuddin's charred body found trapped with his condemned car. The incident was ruled as an accident at the time. 28th of July 2015. Court orders to conduct a post-mortem on the body of Wasim Tajuddin following the election of the new government. 10th of August 2015. The remains of former rugby player Wasim Tajuddin exhumed. Investigations into the alleged disappearance of body parts of the deceased. 5th of October 2015. University of Colombo School of Computing says that it could not retrieve any information from the mobile phone said to belong to Wasim Tajuddin. 9th of December 2015. Professor Anand Samarasekara says that he cannot be held responsible for the disappearance of certain body parts from the freezer at the morgue used for post-mortem examinations. 10th of December 2015. Colombo Additional Magistrate rules that Wasim Tajuddin's death was not caused by a motor accident. 23rd of May 2016. Police officers Andra Senanayaka and Sumit Pereira remanded for concealing evidence. 21st of September 2016. Workers who served under former Colombo Chief J.M.O. Professor Anand Samarasekara informed the CID that body parts of the deceased were moved to Malabe. 19th of October 2016. Court orders the Medical Council to produce a report after concluding the investigations on Professor Anand Samarasekara. Over 4 years since Tajuddin was murdered. Who is responsible for his death? For your attention.
How did the staff of all divisional secretariats of the Ampara district respond to the alleged incident where Minister Daya Gamage threatened a divisional secretary? Let's have a look.
Allegations were raised that the divisional secretary of the Dehiyata Kandiya Divisional Secretariat was threatened by Minister Daya Gamage in connection to an incident that arose surrounding the construction of a building attached to the divisional secretariat. Staff members of the Dehiyata Kandiya Divisional Secretariat wore black bands today in protest against the incident.
I am disappointed as the admin officer about the manner in which the minister spoke to the divisional secretary and the way he acted there. It was very disappointing to see the way he acted without even considering the effect on the people of this institution.
We protest against the way the minister threatened and spoke to the divisional secretary, undermining public service. The staff of the Lahogala Divisional Secretariat also wore black bands in protest of the incident. The staff members of the Ampara District Secretariat and the Divisional Secretariat also wore black armbands in protest of the alleged incident. The Ampara branch of the Workers' Union of the Public Administrative Services also expressed their displeasure over the incident by issuing a communique. It adds that the union hopes that the minister will apologize from the Divisional Secretary over the matter.
The expenditure heads of the Ministry of Defence was passed without a vote today. Fraud and corruption that took place at the Ministry of Defence under the previous regime were exposed during the debate in Parliament today.
We witnessed how the military was gradually being used for political purposes in the past. An army unit was created to spray the water churned by Sumanadasa around polling stations. After the 2010 election, a large number of generals and brigadiers who were committed to the cause during the war were discharged from the army, and the environment was such that they could not even live in this country. The military moved away from national security and gradually became the force being used by politics in the country. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I have this report with me. An investigation is taking place against the former Minister of Economic Development, Basil Rajapaksa, for using state funds to pay salaries and allowances of Navy personnel attached to his official residence, using these personnel for personal matters, misusing state funds and property, as well as misuse of power. There are affidavits provided by the Navy personnel during these investigations. The affidavits reveal that the male and female Navy personnel had been used for personal activities such as to pin saris, wash the dogs, cook, polish shoes, and similar activities. The names of army soldiers are being mentioned over the assassination of Lasantha Wickramatunge. I don't believe that there was a reason for military intelligence officers to have any issue with Lasantha Wickramatunge. There was nothing written about them to seek revenge. Lasantha Wickramatunge was assassinated due to a political force. The chairman of the Kolonnawa Pradesha Sabha was to be abducted in a white van. The army officer who came to abduct him was caught. A complaint was made to the Kolonnawa police against him. After that, the OIC of the Kolonnawa police was transferred. It was exposed that there was a group in the army that was involved in the white van abductions. Has the army any such right? Even with regard to the Egnaligoda abduction, we do not believe that the military officers had any personal grudges against him. The abduction of Raviraj is also the same. In addition, we are aware of the attacks levelled against journalists. The attacks on Kitnoya, Upali Tennakon and Poddala Jayantha. Who was involved in this? This is not the whole army. A small group was created from within the army to incite fear in society, to solidify political power, government power and oppressive power. The avant-garde matter led to much controversy. This is not a simple matter. When this was taken over in 2015 and with the Sri Lanka Navy carrying out the task that was done by avant-garde, massive profits had been generated. 2,330 million rupees was generated as revenue by the Sri Lanka Navy this year alone through maritime security services. What happens to the agreement on the 20th of October? 225 million of the total of 843 million rupees due to Rakna Arakshaka Lanka from avant-garde was slashed. This was under your government. The military seized large amounts of gold. It was shown on television channels back then. What happened to that gold? After I raised this question in Parliament, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe informed us that 45 kilograms of the total gold seized was missing. I do not care which government it is. If that government did not probe it, this government must probe it. It was said that 5 vessels belonging to KP were seized and that 600 bank accounts were frozen. What happened to the money? We need to know that. These were matters that were told before the people. During the previous government, a logistics company was set up in the Ministry of Defence to purchase weapons for the security forces. The board of directors back then included former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, former Attorney General Mohan Peiris, former Treasury Secretary P.B. Jayasundara, the commanders of the 3 armed forces and CEO Jayantha Wickremesinghe. During the previous government, this company had purchased weapons worth around $1 billion. This was all done through this company. That means 140,000 million rupees worth of weapons were purchased. This company was provided with a 2.5% commission with every purchase made. This company was given a commission of 2.5% from 140,000 million rupees. It was exposed that the commission given from overseas were deposited with this company. It was also revealed that these transactions were initiated through diplomats with close ties to them, and there were financial malpractices that had taken place. As the present Minister of Defence, what actions has the President taken on these companies? What happened to the Commission? We need to know what happened to the 2.5% commission of the $1 billion purchases.
No matter what form of criticism is leveled against national security, no matter in what form we belittle the military, I must make it clear that we are acting with a complete understanding on these matters. As a country and as a state, we will only strengthen the military and not weaken them in any way.
හමුදා ශක්තිමත් කිරීමෙන් හැර වෙනත් ආකාරයක කිසි දුර්වල කිරීමකට අපි කිසි විටකත් ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අද අපේ හමුදා සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉතා ඉහළ
Today the military is highly respected across the world. Before this government came into power, several countries stopped the training provided to our military. They did not accept us. We have changed that situation. Countries that are developed and technologically advanced are providing our military officers with the required training.
අපේ ආරක්ෂක හමුදා නිලධාරීන්ට අවශ්‍ය පුහුණුව ලබා දෙනවා.
Still in news from Parliament, during sessions yesterday, views were expressed on housing for individuals who seek to be resettled in the north.
Even before the Cabinet had granted approval for the construction of these houses or this project, that you could name the company and how a tender process could be transparent and just when the Minister was able to say who was going to do that 1 month prior to the Cabinet approval. I raised that publicly. We had no answer to that.
Honorable Prime Minister, our people have suffered for a long time. All their houses have been destroyed. We are in a position to get some houses. Why do you want our people to live in a cage? We want a house. We don't want a prefabricated cage built of steel. We want a house built of brick and mortar. That's in keeping with our civilization, in keeping with our culture, in keeping with our way of life. That will last 3-4 generations. Half the cost to your steel house. Why do you want to spend double the money on a steel house which in fact is a cage when you can build a house at half that cost and our people will be happy?
The bulk of the houses that are being built will be of brick. They have been requested by some members to have prefabricated houses. We say we'll have some, and if there's a demand, we'll have more. And I will call a conference of all of you and brief you all on how we are going to do this.
Chief Medical Officer of the Prisons Hospital, Lakshman Jayaman, responded to the statement made by UMP parliamentarian Hirinika Premachandra in Parliament yesterday.
I am disappointed. I expected an educated woman like her to find all the facts correctly before speaking. I personally feel that she spoke without knowing the proper facts, and I am disappointed about that. I am saddened by the inconvenience caused to myself, my children and my family. We as state officials who have the capability and willingness to serve honestly will not be discouraged by incidents of this nature. I will certainly not be discouraged. We are helpless during occasions like this. It is disappointing.
අමතුවා මේ රිමාන්ඩ් ප්‍රිසන් එකේ පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා මේ රටම දන්න කතන්දරයක් දැන් දැඩි විදිහට මේක මේ ප්‍රචාර වෙගෙන යනවා මේ වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් මුදල් වලට මේ මුදල් අරගෙන ඉහළ පෙළේ දේශපාලකයන් රිමාන්ඩ් කරනකොට වහාම මේ ප්‍රිසන් හොස්පිටල් එකට රිෆර් කරනවා කියලා මේකේ සත්‍ය මොකක්ද යන්නේ මුදල් වලට කියලා හරි
I do not know for certain if it was done for money or for political reasons, but I have conducted an investigation in this regard and I will tell you the details of this investigation. Details of one doctor has come to light.
බන්ධනාගාර රෝහලේ ඉන්න වෛද්‍යවරුන් 17 දෙනාගෙන් 10 දෙනෙක් මේකට සම්බන්ධයි කියලා. ඒ වගේ කටයුතු වලට ඔබතුමාව දැනුවත් කරලා තියෙනවත් කියලා කිව්වා. නමුත් කිසිම ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් තාම අරන් නැහැ කියලා තමයි කිව්වේ.
We have commenced investigations.
එතකොට අමතුමාර දුමින්ද සිල්වා හිටපු മന്ത്രിතුමා බලන්න ගිය විනිසුරුවරියට පඩි සහිත නිවාඩු දීලා තියෙනවා කිව්වා. එතනින් පස්සේ වැඩ කටයුතු නවත්තලා තියෙනවා කිව්වා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මොකද්ද ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය?
ඒක යාව මේ කෙලින්ම වැඩ
She was suspended immediately and investigations are underway. That was caught red-handed. You cannot be a judge like that, can you?
Politburo member of the JVP, KD Lalkanta, expressed views about media organizations who spoke of the corrupt activities of the previous government in the past.
President Maithripala Sirisena is saying that if you spoke against the government in the past, you would get a trip in a white van, and because of this, the media did not speak out. No, that is not true. There were people who spoke out. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa told Shivan Daniel of Newsfirst that he would be arrested and put in jail. Shivan was forced to leave the country for a while. I spoke of this on every stage. How can he make such a statement? Is it because he was the brother of the president? Is it because he was the secretary of the ministry? How can a secretary say that Shivan Daniel will be arrested and that he will be jailed? We asked what powers he has to jail Shivan. Maithripala did not question them back then. Rajitha didn't question this. Those who are shouting now did not question these back then. Those days, when we criticized Mahinda, only our mouths were moving. The words did not come out. Some places it was cut out using a beep. Those media organizations were giving out a message to the world and to the people. The message was that we did not have democracy to broadcast this. That was the message that they gave. The struggle carried out by them was in the name of freedom.
With that, we wrap up Prime Time News for the day. Thank you for watching. I'm Chaturang Hapwarachi.
And I'm Bernadine Jazz Singh. Good night. Take care.